Joining us this evening on this debate, privileged to have with us Rajkumar Sangwan, former Indian boxer, joining us live from Gurgaon. Meerranjan Negi, former hockey player, eminent sports personality, joining us live this evening from Mumbai. Negi ji, thank you for joining us. And of course, consulting editor, sports with the India Today group, Boria Majumdar is also with us. I want to kick things off with Boria first. Boria, you heard what Adil Sumariwala just said about how this is going to have to be a fight at many different levels, including the political level, to get things going. Is this something that's going to happen? We've seen a huge amount of emotion, a lot of, the country being galvanized, certainly in the media, in the national media, for Sarita Devi. What are you hearing about what the next step is going to be, Boria? I mean, we'll talk about the accountability in just a bit, but I want to talk about specifics right now about what the next step is going to be, because this is a person who might be suspended.
Shiv, the next step is very simple. The Olympic Council of Asia Secretary General is a man called Randhir Singh, who hails from India.
Yeah.
So you want to exert pressure, you want to create backroom channels, you can do that. If you want to exert pressure and you want to do it, of course you can.
Yes.
India is no mean power as far as the Olympic Council of Asia goes.
Right.
Do we have the zeal? Do we have the will? Do we have the belief? And more importantly, do we have the accountability and the desire to help Sarita Devi? With your permission, 3 points from what Adil Sumariwala told us. He said he was at athletics. I follow the Asian Games closely than anyone else. There were 3 Indian female boxers. Within 45 minutes, they were fighting for a place in the final. Each for a gold or a silver medal, they would have gotten there. Mary Kom won, Pooja Rani and Sarita Devi did not. At that point in time in athletics, there was not a single Indian athlete who was competing for a medal.
Very good point.
I had serious questions about the prudence of our chef de mission to be attending the athletics at that point in time. Second, it took 2 hours to register the protest. You mean to say Adil Sumariwala, after he got to know what happened, did not have the time to come to the boxing venue and find out for himself and pay that $400? Finally, it has taken 24 hours later for Sarita Devi to come out and say nobody has backed him.
Yes.
What was Adil Sumariwala doing? The Mongol chief, from Mongolia, the NOC chief, issued a statement saying how disgusting and unfair the judgment was.
Yes.
Have you heard the Indian chef de mission issue a statement?
Not once.
Shiv, Sarita Devi has been let down, but this is the story of Indian Olympic sport for a long, long time.
This has been going on. This was simply bound to happen. Completely let down, and not just once, twice, and she's about to be let down all over again. India, definitely not small fry in the scheme of things, as Boria just pointed out. I want to bring in O.P. Bharadwaj, former boxing coach, who's also with us live from Delhi today. Meerranjan Negi, Rajkumar Sangwan are also with us. Rajkumar ji, आपको क्या लगता है कौन इसके लिए जिम्मेदार है?
टोटल बॉक्सिंग फैनेटिक, क्योंकि जितनी भी बॉक्सिंग के हमारे ऑफिशियल्स, हमारे मैनेजर्स गए हैं, उनकी फर्स्ट ड्यूटी बनती है. आईओए को भी आप जिम्मेवार ठहरा सकते हैं, हमारे चीफ डिमीशन का भी कसूर है, लेकिन सबसे ज्यादा इसके अंदर जो कमी है वो मैं देख सकता हूं कि बॉक्सिंग की फैमिली की एक कमी है. अगर हमारी बॉक्सिंग के जितने टीम मैनेजर जो हमारे जाते हैं, बॉक्सिंग के जितने ऑफिशियल्स हमारे जाते हैं, अगर वही उस चीज के ऊपर ध्यान नहीं देंगे, क्योंकि डीपली नॉलेज बॉक्सिंग के ऑफिशियल रखते हैं, अगर उन्होंने ये ध्यान नहीं है कि कितनी देर के अंदर प्रोटेस्ट करना है. इससे पहले भी जो ये घटनाएं बार बार हिंदुस्तान के प्रति होती रही हैं, अगर उनको बार बार अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेप लिया जाता तो शायद सरिता को ये दिन नहीं देखना पड़ता. लेकिन बार बार ये चीजें होती रहती हैं और लेट करते हैं, या डॉलर नहीं मिले, या ये बहानेबाजी जो चलती है, सारी कमी इस चीज की है. और हमारे बॉक्सर सफर करते हैं. आप जानते हैं 4 साल में एशियन गेम आते हैं, 4 साल तक कोई बॉक्सर दूसरा वेट नहीं करता. इस चीज की भुगत भोगी हमारे काफी बॉक्सर्स रहे हैं, और बार बार ये चीजें सामने आती हैं. तो इसमें आईओए के चीफ डिवीजन को तो ये नहीं पता होगा कि बॉक्सिंग में वेट कैटेगरी कितनी है. मैं उनको जिम्मेवार भी नहीं ठहराऊंगा, लेकिन ये उनकी कमी है कि उन्होंने इतना लेट आके सरिता को थोड़ी सी सांत्वना देते, उनसे थोड़ा सा
और ऐसे कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है.
काफी कुछ ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. तो ये सारी चीजें बॉक्सिंग की, अगर जितने प्रेसिडेंट सेक्रेटरी वहां पे जो भी जाते हैं, या बॉक्सिंग के इंचार्ज मैनेजर तो वहां पे थे, कम से कम उनको फर्स्ट स्टेप पे जाके और ये काम करना था, उनको सब पता है।
Okay, Rajkumar ji, just stay with me. Before I go to Meer Ranjan Negi and Mr. Bharadwaj, I just want to play out for you what Sarita Devi said to us. We were on the phone with her. She spoke to our channel first here on Headlines Today earlier this evening. I want to play out for you a chunk of what she told us. Take a look at her tone. Take a look at what she told us in this conversation.
यहाँ पे ओलंपिक एसोसिएशन इतना बड़ा एसोसिएशन इधर है, उसके सामने हुआ है, कुछ नहीं बोलेगा तो उधर में तो कुछ देखा भी नहीं, वो मेरा मुंह से बोलेगा क्या, ये लोग क्या बोलेगा। तो यहाँ पे मेरा सामने, उसके सामने जो भी हुआ है वो लोग कुछ नहीं बोला, तो घर वाला क्या वो लोग देश के प्यार है सोचा है, लेकिन प्यार नहीं है। लेकिन एक तरफ से हमेशा नोरिस बोलता है, मैं नोरिस के है ना, नोरिस है इसलिए वो लोग नहीं देखा है, दूसरा होते तो देखते। यही बोलना चाहते हैं मैं, हमेशा नोरिस को नीचे देखता है। हमारा शक्ल अलग है, हम अपना देश का, इंडिया का नहीं है, अपना भाई बेटी नहीं है, अपना भाई नहीं है। जो दूसरा कंट्री का मुझे इतना हौसला देता है, दूसरा कंट्री आके हाँ सरिता तुम विन है, आज जो मैंने मेडल रिटर्न किया, ये लोग सब उठ के तालियां बजाया, ये लोग क्यों नहीं करता है मेरे लिए। देखो सर, देखो जो बेटी के साथ कुछ गलत हो गया तो आप लोग मेरे साथ नहीं देंगे सर, आपके बेटी के साथ हो, किसी के साथ होने से भी आप हमारे साथ नहीं देंगे क्या? मैं अलग से है क्या? मैं पूछना था, मैं अपना देश से नहीं, अपना इंडिया से नहीं है क्या? ये लोग मैंने इतना तकलीफ छोड़ के मैंने ये कम्पिटिशन के कितना प्रिपरेशन किया। मेरा बेटा मुझे नहीं पहचानता है, मेरा बेटा मुझे नहीं पहचानता है, मुझे रिकॉग्नाइज भी नहीं करता है।
बेटा हम आपके साथ हैं सारे, कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। हम तो पटियाले भी गए थे जब आपका कंपटीशन था। आप बहुत बड़ा इंडिया का प्राइड है, सबकी आपके साथ सिंपथी है, कोई ऐसा नहीं है जो आपके साथ नहीं खड़ा हुआ।
तो क्यों नहीं उस टाइम में मेरे दुख की टाइम इतना मेरा हाथ ब्रोकन हुआ, उस टाइम में क्यों नहीं आया?
हाँ, ये जो लोग वहाँ थे अब उनका गलती है, जो वहाँ थे दे शुड हैव कम अप, उसका आके खड़े होते, ये तो मैं भी मानता हूँ। तो उस वक्त everybody should have been there to support you. That's what ना कि now what we are saying, nobody is aware who was there and he didn't stand. ये तो actually या तो मीडिया जो वहाँ था उसको पता होगा, how can I say who was there? लेकिन what I feel कि at this time everybody should have shouted, everybody should have been with her. ये तो there is no denying the fact that this was, we are duty bound to support any Indian sports person there in the field.
मैंने मेडल एक्सेप्ट किया, उसके बाद मैंने कोरिया को लड़की को मैंने गिफ्ट दिया, एक्सेप्ट किया। मेरा मेडल एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना हो तो मैं क्यों सेरेमनी में क्यों जाती? एक्सेप्ट किया, मैंने मेडल एक्सेप्ट किया, उसके बाद मैंने कोरियन को गिफ्ट दिया।
I want to bring in Meer Ranjan Negi here, and the sports persons we have on our panel today have travelled the world. They've been around the world, they've represented India, they've dealt with federations, you know, they've protested, they've seen problems like this in the past. Meer Ranjan Negi ji, Sarita का कहना है कि उनको कोई सपोर्ट नहीं मिला, शेफ द मिशन ने भी कोई सपोर्ट नहीं दिया, क्या ये नॉर्मल है?
I am shocked. The whole nation is shocked.
Yes.
And this whole incident, you know, it reminds me about Chakde. You know, there was a Manipur girl and how she was treated. And in spite of so much of hardship these athletes face to coming to this level and this type of treatment what they are getting, and the apathy shown by the federation and the officials there, is really devastating. You can understand the plight of the player, you know, the anguish, the pain
you could hear it in her voice
to take such a drastic step.
Mr. Negi, I want to ask you one thing. Who would you hold responsible for this? Randhir Singh, the boxing India. Who would you hold singularly responsible for this, or would you say it's a collective failure?
It is definitely a collective failure, because it is very difficult to beat Korea in Korea. And secondly, as we were reading and as we are hearing all the news, there was no official.
Yeah.
I mean, it is her husband had to pay from her own pocket, the money, and there is nobody to protest, and they got delayed. It is really unbelievable how things have not changed over the years. And we are again and again suffering, our players are suffering atrocious, completely blatant, outright cheating by the Koreans.
It's cheating. It's cheating. It is a complete letdown of a blossoming hero, a person who's represented India over the last 14 to 15 years. An absolutely amazing letdown of the entire country. O.P. Bharadwaj, former boxing coach, is also live with us from Delhi. Mr. Bharadwaj, do you think that the sports ministry should intervene? क्या आपको लगता है कि खेल मंत्रालय को intervene करना चाहिए?
ये बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर इसी तरीके से अगर हम इसके लिए ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं कर उठाएंगे तो ये हमेशा भारत के खिलाड़ियों के साथ होता है, सिर्फ बॉक्सिंग में नहीं, हर जगह पर अपना अच्छा इमेज बनाना इंटरनेशनल के अंदर बहुत ज़रूरी है और ये उनका फ़र्ज़ है, उनकी ड्यूटी है जो कि खेल को संचालन कर रहे हैं, खेल को देख रेख कर रहे हैं।
You know, Boria, the indictment from all of our panelists is almost uniform. They are shocked. They say that it's a collective responsibility, but there's also an air of cynicism. I detect an air of cynicism, Boria. I don't know if you do, in both Mr. Bharadwaj, Mr. Negi, as well as Rajkumar. They say that there is collective responsibility, something must be done, but something about their tone tells me they don't expect very much to happen.
Shiv, this cynicism comes from years of being ignored, years of neglect, years of inefficiency, years of maladministration. That's why your Olympic Association gets suspended for 14 months. That's why the Boxing Federation loses credibility in front of an International Boxing Federation, IBA, and loses its ticket to participate under the Indian national flag.
Yes.
That's not new to us. But when you hear that Sarita Devi is getting suspended or might face a ban, will you for 1 second pause and think, and what about the judges?
Yes.
What about those corrupt, biased, disgraceful, inefficient, absolutely ridiculously, how do I put it, disastrous result that the judges put out? What about them?
Yes.
Are they the holy trinity who will continue to abuse power and go away scot-free? And will the Indians, because there is an IBA rule 8.4 that you cannot challenge the judges, and the Indians will keep mum? Is that the way we Indians will react? So, and Sarita Devi's husband would have to pit the $400 with $100 from a media person? Frankly, those judges are the first people who should be banned, who should be suspended. Because for me, Shiv, yesterday Sarita Devi did not lose.
Yes.
Who lost was the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing was shamed, it was disgraced. Sarita Devi deserves better, and we as Indians deserve far, far better than what we got. Will we raise a voice? Americans did at London. They got the verdict against Vikas Krishan overturned. Is there a lesson there for India? I think there is.
Absolutely. The judges, is any action going to be taken against them? Rajkumar Sangwan, आपके हिसाब में किस के खिलाफ एक्शन लिया जाना चाहिए इमीडिएटली?
बिल्कुल मजूमदार जी ने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा है कि जितने जजेस हैं, और ये बार बार होता है, ये कोई नई चीज नहीं है, जो जजेस बैठे थे जिन्होंने गलत डिसीजन दिया, रेफरी ने होल्डिंग की वार्निंग नहीं दी, तो उन जजेस को, रेफरी को बिल्कुल सस्पेंड करना चाहिए, बल्कि उनके ऊपर बैन लगाना चाहिए कि बार बार इतनी शर्मनाक घटनाएं, जो बॉक्सिंग एक इतने अच्छे पीक पे वर्ल्ड फेमस गेम है, 4th पॉपुलर गेम है वर्ल्ड के अंदर, तो उसको अगर बना के रखनी है उसकी इमेज, तो कम से कम उनको सस्पेंड करना चाहिए। हिंदुस्तान को अपने ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऑफिशियल्स आईबा के अंदर भेजने चाहिए कि कल को हमारा वहां पे एक वजूद अच्छा रहेगा तो उसी से मेडल आएंगे। हमारा भी एक वेट होना चाहिए उसके अंदर, जो आज वेट हमारा वहां पे नहीं है। तो इन चीजों का ख्याल अगर भारत सरकार या हमारी खेल फेडरेशन को अगर नहीं रखेंगे तो कल को हमें इसके नुकसान हम भुगतते आए हैं और आगे भी हम ऐसा रहते रहेंगे। ये तो शुक्र करता हूं मैं आप मीडिया पर्सन का, जितने भी चैनल्स हैं, प्रिंट मीडिया, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया, आपने ये आवाज को इतना उठाया। अदरवाइज आज से 20 साल 30 साल पहले भी ये ऐसी चीजें होती रहती थी, शायद लोग एक दिन के लिए जानते थे वही स्टाफ और भूल जाते थे। तो मैं भी आपसे कहूंगा कि कंटिन्यू इस टाइप की
नहीं, आपका पॉइंट बिल्कुल ठीक है राजकुमार जी। आई कैन अश्योर all of our viewers and all of our panelists this evening that this is not a one-off thing, and I think Boria will stand with me on this. This is a story that has touched a lot of hearts. It has angered a huge number of people. We've been flooded with phone calls, with SMSs, with emails, with messages. So has Boria, from people he doesn't even know. about a story that we plan to continue to cover very, very closely. I can personally assure all of our viewers this evening that we will stick with the story, and I'm sure that all of the other channels are also going to do that. I have just a couple of minutes left, and I want to leave the last word with Mir Ranjan Negi. Mr. Negi, you know, you don't see this kind of galvanized, you know, emotion in a country for sports other than cricket very often. We've seen it a few times before. You know, it's been a great year for boxing. Mary Kom had a movie made on her life. There is a great deal of attention paid to these people. But what has happened to Sarita Devi today, as Boria just pointed out, is probably just a shattering reminder, Mr. Negi, of how far the journey is still there, left for this country before we start respecting every other sport apart from cricket.
Now see, Devendra, who is the brother of Sarita, he underwent the same trials and tribulations.
Yes.
He completely knocked down the other Korean boxer. It was a one-sided affair.
Yes.
And again we saw that he lost the battle. What I'm saying is, in a modern era, when 8 or 9 cameras are covering the event, why there can't be a video referral?
Absolutely.
In boxing?
Absolutely.
Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, why not? Why there is given a chance to do all this hanky-panky? So there needs to be a change. And
yes.
This incident is going to create a history. This incident should mark a change in the boxing.
Okay, will it be an inflection point? We've seen many times before when there's been injustice, when there has been corruption, when there's been a complete lack of accountability, when there's been brazenness by politicians who've infiltrated every level of our sporting federations, a complete lack of consideration and sensitivity to athletes just because they don't belong, to the cricket fraternity. But this is something that needs to change. I hope you're right, Mir Ranjan Negi, when you say that this could be a changing point, a turning point. I myself am quite cynical as a journalist, but I can assure you that we will do our job in sticking with the story and highlighting every point. Thank you so much for joining us on this particular debate. Boria Majumdar, Mir Ranjan Negi, O.P. Bharadwaj, as well as Rajkumar Sangwan. Privileged to have all of you here on this debate here on Center Stage tonight.